and I'll throw it into Schoology. All right, so far everybody has these 3 images here. So we have our stacks, right? We have this one stack that has the dark on it. We have this stack that has some of our medium ranges on it. And then we have some of these here that have our brighter highlights here, right? All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is after I've gone through, I've refined all my edges. I've made sure everything is nice and smooth. I've cleaned up all my edges. Remember, you can double-click on your layer mask, and you can go to Mask and Select, which is right here. And I can feather the edge of my mask and do some different things like that, right, so that it continues to blend those layers together. Now, the first thing we want to do is to get this layer, right? This layer is just sort of like a detail layer. You can see it's like a black outline on everything, right? So what I'm going to do to get this one is I am going to find, if I can find it on my desktop here, I'm going to take the middle picture that I have, right? So here I have my dark picture, I have my darker picture, and I have my lighter picture. I'm going to take this middle picture, and I'm going to bring it, I'm going to drag it into Photoshop, if I can grab it with my computer. Come on, computer. Come on, you. Sorry, I'm having some mouse pad problems here. Let me try one more time. Come on. We're crying out loud. There we go. All right, I'm going to bring that into Photoshop. I am going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to send it over to my stack. Okay, here it is right here. All right, so I can see it's sitting on top of my stack right now. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that layer in my Layers menu down here, right? I'm going to come up here to Filter, and I'm going to click on this little guy here that says Filter Gallery. All right, and in my Filter Gallery, holy moly, I'm zoomed in. I'm going to see my picture here, right? And what I'm going to do is there's a couple of different choices you can make. There's Stamp, there's Photocopy, there's a couple of different ones in here. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get some detail in here. All right, so what I want to do, why is my picture inverted here? There we go. There's graphic pen, there's charcoal. Hang on a second. Why is that? It's showing me the inverse actually, which is sort of strange. Filter Gallery. Yeah, that's strange. Hang on a second. I'm trying to figure out why this is inverted. And it shouldn't be inverted. Right, because it should end up looking like this. Right, because it's supposed to be a photocopy, so it's supposed to have lines in there, and I don't understand. All right, let me dump this. Let me try my lighter one here and see. Maybe it's just inverting that particular picture. All right, let's send it over, duplicate layer. Let's send it to my stack. There it is. All right, let's try this one with photocopy. Maybe I need the lighter version here. I'm not sure why it was doing that. So I'm going to go to my filter gallery. Yeah, that's totally bizarre. Why that is inverting that. Yeah, because even here it's reading it as a different one. All right, well, I'm gonna cheat around this. You know, I will not be stopped by technology. So here's my my picture, right? And I'm just gonna look at this with opposite eyes here. So I'm gonna look at it as all the white lines are black and all the black areas are white. So I can see all this white in here. I'm going to get some lining here. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. I'm gonna turn down that detail a little bit. Right, I'm gonna change the darkness a little bit. There we go. So that should be about good. I'm going to hit OK. So here's my picture. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to invert this one now. So I'm going to go to Adjustments. I'm going to say Invert. Here it is. There we go. So that's the way it was supposed to look. And again, I'm not sure why that particular filter was inverting it. But now I have a white filter here. Then I'm just going to go to my layer, and I'm going to say multiply. And now suddenly I have a black outline, you can see, around all my character, right? If you think it's too much, you can always go to your opacity for your layer, and you can turn it down a little bit. You can bring it up a little bit. You can change it around however you see fit to make it fit in there. So that's sort of like that final layer in there. It sort of adds that texture. Then the last thing I did was I just sort of experimented a little bit. So all I did was I just made a brand new layer. So down here, I just activated a new layer. All right. On this empty layer right now, I just took my paint bucket, which is this guy over here, right? I took my black color, and I just filled that layer with black, right? And then by changing the layer property here, you can see here, I'm going to use, maybe I'll use overlay. Overlaying black on top of this, you can see it sort of saturates or changes that color a little bit. And if that's too much, I just went into my layer here. I used a white paintbrush. You can see I already made that paintbrush really big. I made the edges of that paintbrush really soft. The opacity is 13. And I just started painting out this center part a little bit with white paint. Right, and you can see over here how layer 2 is starting to become a like a white circle there in the middle. There it is right there, this guy right here. Right, and if that's too much, I can always flip-flop backwards. And I can add a little bit more black in here too. Oops. There we go. Add a little more black. Right, and again, it's just sort of fine-tuning your design to where you think it looks best. So that's without, and that's with. All right, I feel like it adds, again, a little bit more dimension, a little bit more texture to my picture by putting that layer in there. And then that's it. So then the last thing you would do is you would go to your cropping tool. Don't forget, this one's 8 by 12 by 150. I'm going to bring in the edges a little bit so that when I adjusted my picture so I aligned the layers, it sort of twisted them out of whack a little bit. I'm going to hit the check mark. And there we go. And that's it. So then you save that as a JPEG, and that is what your final HDR is that you are going to turn in.